What is good, everyone? I hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Denuvo DRM and whether or not it actually affects game performance. This has been a hot button issue ever since Denuvo DRM came on the scene, which is a form of digital rights management. For those of you that aren't sure what digital rights management or DRM is, it's basically the way that a game company verifies the authenticity of the key of that game. So if you buy a game, it basically is phoning home over the internet because it's a digital piece of content, so it uses an online connection usually to be able to verify that it's an actual legitimate copy of the game and that it hasn't been pirated. In the past, this had really been accomplished by encrypted game keys, but those were always very quick to get cracked. And when Denuvo DRM first came out, it was extremely frustrating for crackers to actually get these games to work on pirating torrent websites, like the Pirate Bay or Kick-Ass Torrents, whatever, whatever tracker you happen to use. It was very difficult for pirates to actually get these games to work and bypass the Denuvo DRM. I remember with Just Cause 3 specifically, one of the big scene groups had actually completely given up on trying to crack that game. But since that time, it has become increasingly easy to crack these games. The game Doom from Bethesda had Denuvo DRM, which got cracked, and eventually Bethesda actually went and completely removed the Denuvo DRM, and citing what they said in their press release following after they removed Denuvo DRM, they said the simple reason why Denuvo Anti-Tamper was removed from Doom was because it had accomplished its purpose by keeping the game safe from piracy during the initial sales window. Denuvo's Robert Hernandez said in an email that the protection on Doom held up for nearly 4 months, which is an impressive accomplishment for such a high-profile game. So, in that sense, you could say that Denuvo had been working at least until, over the past year or so, it's actually become a lot quicker that they're able to crack these games. So, in that sense, I guess Denuvo works if you're trying to just get past those people that might want to torrent it initially when the game first releases, and maybe they don't want to be patient, enough for the game to get cracked, so they'll just go out and buy the game. So in that sense, I guess it would work, but now that's pretty much out the window, so it would lead you to wonder why they're still actually doing it. The game I'm going to be focusing on here today, Middle-earth: Shadow of War, was cracked within 24 hours. The game just came out on Tuesday. It's now been cracked, and it's on pretty much every online tracker that you can go and search up. Games like Total War Warhammer 2, which came out last month, that was cracked in less than 8 hours, which is a record for a Denuvo DRM-packed game. And FIFA 18 was another game with Denuvo DRM, which was cracked in less than a day. So it seems like Denuvo DRM now is no longer effective. It's just as bad as, the older, encryption-based forms of DRM that were not Denuvo-based. So why are they still using it when it's not even working? And also there's the whole thing that people are questioning is whether or not it's actually affecting game performance. Game Debate actually did some benchmarks on Doom when the Denuvo DRM had been removed, which showed a pretty large gain in performance, about 6 to 7 FPS, in the different benchmarks that they ran. However, as they even noted in their article, that there had been several driver updates between the time of their original testing and the new testing, which they didn't bother to retest for some reason. So I don't know why. They should have just reverted their drivers and then did some good testing. But I wanted to go ahead and sort of check in on this for myself. So the only way that I could do that is to acquire a cracked copy of Middle-earth: Shadow of War, which I know is a very gray area, but just to sort of put anyone's mind to rest, I know there's going to be some controversy down in the comments on whether or not, you should do this or not. I own Middle-earth: Shadow of War. I purchased it with my own money. I bought it so that I could benchmark it and review it on the channel, which I've already done. I legally own Middle-earth: Shadow of War. So I really don't see an issue with going out and getting an alternate version of the game because I already own a license to the game. And I'm not taking this game and I'm not multiplying it and making multiple copies to put on other PCs and distribute it to other people out there. This is for my own sake of testing on my own PC where I already bought and own and have downloaded the game and did my own benchmarking on the game on that video on Tuesday. So I went through and I re-benchmarked Middle-earth: Shadow of War with 2 of the graphics card I tested in that video, the RX Vega 56 and the GTX 1080. I didn't change the settings at all. I kept the drivers exactly the same as they were in that video, and the settings in that game were it's all set to Ultra at 1440p and 1080p. The only options I had disabled were motion blur and depth of field, and the anti-aliasing was set to FXAA, which is, like I said, the exact same settings that I used in that initial video. And I honestly was expecting to see a very large difference in performance, but sadly that really wasn't the case. It actually looked to be pretty much identical, almost within the margin of error. The frame rate numbers that I'll be getting to in a moment, like I said, they came out almost pretty much within the margin of error. And looking at the side-by-side comparison here with the cracked game on the left and the Denuvo base game on the right, the original version that I got on Steam, the performance is pretty much identical. Even the CPU utilization is pretty much the same. Basically no difference there whatsoever in the performance, whether I'm testing at 1080p, 1440p, RX Vega 56, or GTX 1080. It really didn't matter. So what this is telling me is that the Denuvo DRM is not causing a performance impact, at least on Middle-earth Shadow of War on current games. Now, I'm not saying that it has never caused a performance issue, because it is very likely that in some of the early iterations, it very well may have caused some performance issues. I know there was a game developer that had actually came out and spoken against it. The developer of Rime had said that it was slowing down their game, and they ended up removing it from that. But I think Denuvo has since then probably been optimized and streamlined a bit to be able to perform its functions, but still, deter piracy. But that's, like I said, that's pretty much out the window now, and anyone can go out and, torrent these games and be able to play them and crack them. So Denuvo is not doing what it is supposed to do. It's not preventing piracy at all, except for maybe the first 8 to 12 hours, which, big deal. Like if someone was, which is really the whole argument I have against DRM to begin with, is I feel that anyone that was going to torrent the game was already going to torrent the game. Anyone that was going to buy the game was already going to buy the game. And if they weren't going to, they're not going to, I don't think a 12-hour wait is going to make anyone go out and spend $60 that wasn't going to spend it to begin with. They'll just wait a day, day and a half, and then they'll go out and they'll torrent the game. So why are they still using Denuvo DRM in the game? But then there's also the thing is, should we really worry about it if, taking a look at these numbers, it's not really affecting performance? It's not hurting the performance in Middle-earth Shadow of War. I'll throw up the graphs here now with the average FPS, and then we'll show the 1% low, where you can see in the yellow here we have the cracked version of the game, and then the black bars are the original Steam version of the game that are packed with the Denuvo DRM, and you can see across the board we're pretty much seeing a difference of 1 to 2 FPS, which is within the margin of error, honestly. On the GTX 1080 at 1440p, the Denuvo version of the game actually ran 2 FPS better, while in all the other tests it was about a 2 FPS to 1 FPS advantage for the cracked version of the game. But even just 1 to 2 FPS, like I said, that's really within the margin of error, so I really wouldn't say that this is the crack or the Denuvo causing a performance fluctuation any one way or the other. It's just, and you could run a benchmark 10 times and get a different result, 10 different results, within a couple of frames. So that's really what I'm kind of chalking that up to. And then looking at the 1% lows, nothing really changing here. We could see that in 3 of these that the Denuvo DRM version actually got a higher 1% low than the cracked version of the game. So that pretty much brings me to my final conclusion, is that right now, at least in 2017, Denuvo DRM is not causing a performance impact on PC games. So it's really up to you whether or not you still want to worry about it. It really doesn't bother me all that much anymore. I mean, I'm going to buy these games anyway. I don't pirate games, and I don't suggest anyone pirate games. You should not. If you are going to buy games, or if you want to, support the developers to make sure that the games you like are going to get made again, then you should go out and buy them. But I don't think that we need DRM to achieve that. If you look at a game like The Witcher 3, which doesn't have any DRM, it was one of the best-selling games of the year that it came out. I think it was 2015 now by this point. I think that's when it came out. Or maybe was it 2016? 2015 or 2016, The Witcher 3 came out. That game had no DRM. You could actually get it on CD Projekt's Red own store, GOG, which is 100% DRM free. Like if you ever have seen a game from GOG go up on a tracker, they don't even need a crack. You just download it, you install it, and you could play it. At least so I'm told. So yeah, it doesn't look like they really need DRM to sell the games. All you have to do is come out with a good game that people want to buy and support, and they will actually purchase it. Even a single-player game like The Witcher 3, which has no online component whatsoever. Like, yes, having a multiplayer component, that would certainly deter piracy, because in a multiplayer-focused game, you would certainly want to go out and buy it, because otherwise you won't be able to play the multiplayer. But even with a single-player game, if you just put out a good game, the people that would have bought that game anyway are still going to buy it. And I just don't see a reason to have Denuvo DRM in games anymore with how fast it's being cracked. But hopefully this could at least put to rest any concerns you may have had if it was actually affecting your game performance, because it doesn't appear that it is. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. Please let me know your thoughts on this video down in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're not already. And I will see you in the next video. Ta-ra.